The Samaritans are an ancient religious community with distinct beliefs that have both similarities to and differences from those of Jews. They trace their origins to the ancient Israelites and share common ancestry with the Jewish people. But over time, their religious practices and beliefs evolved in a unique direction. Today, Samaritans are a small community primarily residing in Israel and the West Bank, especially near Nablus, Mount Gerizim, and Holon near Tel Aviv. Here's an overview of the religious beliefs and practices of the Samaritans. The belief in one God. The Samaritans worship Yahweh, the God of Israel, whom they regard as the one true God. This is a central tenet of their faith, and they emphasize the importance of the exclusive worship of God, rejecting other gods or idols. They believe that Yahweh is the God who revealed himself to the ancient Israelites, and they trace their spiritual lineage back to the biblical figures such as Abraham, Moses, Aaron, and Joshua. The sacred texts. The Samaritans adhere to a unique version of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, which they refer to as the Samaritan Torah. Their version of the Torah differs in some respects from the Jewish Torah, particularly in the text of the 10 Commandments and other passages. Mount Gerizim is central in the Samaritan version of the Torah. Unlike Jews who regard Jerusalem and the Temple Mount as the central place of worship, Samaritans believe that Mount Gerizim near Nablus is the true holy place chosen by God. The Samaritan Torah emphasizes that sacrifices should be made at Gerizim, not Jerusalem, which reflects a significant theological divergence between the two communities. The sanctity of Mount Gerizim. The Samaritans consider Mount Gerizim to be the true and sacred site of worship, as opposed to the Jewish belief in Jerusalem as the central location. According to Samaritan tradition, this is the place where Abraham was commanded to offer his son Isaac and where the blessings of the Israelites were pronounced. They believe that Mount Gerizim is where the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant rested, and it remains their most sacred site. Every year on the Passover, they gather on Gerizim for a sacrificial ritual. The Torah and prophecy. Like Jews, Samaritans believe in the Torah as their primary sacred text. However, they do not accept any later Jewish scriptures such as the prophets, Nevi'im, or the writings, Ketuvim, which include books like Psalms, Proverbs, and the historical books of the Bible. They consider the Jewish Tanakh, Old Testament, beyond the Torah to be corrupted and not authoritative. The Samaritans expect a future prophet, referred to as the Taheb, who will be a messianic figure that will come to restore the true worship of God. The concept of the Taheb in Samaritanism is similar to the Jewish belief in the Messiah, but with some important differences. The Taheb will be a teacher and restorer of the true faith and will gather the scattered people of Israel, Samaritans, and bring them to Mount Gerizim. Unlike the Jewish Messiah, the Taheb is not expected to be a descendant of King David. Instead, he is a prophetic figure who will restore the Torah and lead the people back to the pure worship of Yahweh. Rituals and worship. Temple worship and sacrifice. Historically, Samaritans practiced animal sacrifices at Mount Gerizim, a tradition that continues in a symbolic form, particularly during Passover, when a lamb is ritually slaughtered. Passover, the Samaritan Passover, observed on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, is a central religious observance. It is marked by a sacrifice of lambs, symbolizing the Paschal lamb, and a communal meal. This is one of the few times the Samaritan community will engage in animal sacrifice. Other festivals. Samaritans celebrate several other biblical festivals including Shavuot, Feast of Weeks, and Sukkot, Feast of Booths, though their practices differ slightly from those of Jews. Ethical and ritual purity. Purity laws. Samaritans follow a set of ritual purity laws similar to those found in the Torah. They observe rules about cleanliness, dietary restrictions, and the avoidance of impurity, especially concerning contact with death. Sabbath observance. The Samaritans strictly observe the Sabbath, the 7th day of the week, as a day of rest and worship, in keeping with the commandment in the Torah. They avoid work and travel on the Sabbath and devote the day to prayer and reflection. The Samaritan community and identity. Cultural and religious identity. The Samaritans see themselves as the true inheritors of the ancient Israelite faith, distinct from the Jewish people. They claim that their community has preserved the true religion of Israel, unaltered by outside influences or the later developments in Jewish theology. Marriage and endogamy. Historically, the Samaritans practiced endogamy, meaning that they married within their own community to preserve their religious and cultural identity. However, the Samaritan population has declined significantly, so intermarriage has become more common in recent generations. Relationship with Judaism and Christianity. Samaritan-Jewish relations. Historically, there has been tension and division between Samaritans and Jews, especially after the split between the two communities in ancient times, around the 5th century BCE. Samaritans were viewed by Jews as heretics and outsiders due to their rejection of Jerusalem as the center of worship and their divergent practices. The parable of the Good Samaritan. In Christian tradition, the parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke 10 verses 25 to 37, illustrates the idea of loving one's neighbor, using a Samaritan as the example of kindness and compassion, which would have been counterintuitive to many Jews of the time, who regarded Samaritans with disdain. Samaritans in Christianity. Christianity has always had a somewhat ambivalent view of Samaritans. While they were seen as religiously different, Jesus himself interacted with and ministered to Samaritans, emphasizing themes of inclusion and compassion. Example, the Samaritan woman at the well in John 4. Samaritans today. The Samaritan community is very small today, with only about 800 individuals remaining, most of whom live in Kiryat Luza, near Mount Gerizim, and Holon, near Tel Aviv. The community has managed to preserve its faith and traditions, though it faces challenges in maintaining its religious identity and practices in the modern world. Dear viewers, how did you see the information presented in this video? Leave me your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching.